That shake, that rattle, that's your engine losing efficiency. If your car starts, you think it's healthy. But build up and we're quietly draining power behind the scenes. Today, we're revealing 17 simple habits that make any engine run smoother, quieter, and stronger, and bring back that new car feel. Let's get started. Habit 1. Clean the mass airflow sensor. If the air filter is the lungs, this is the brain. The mass airflow sensor tells the engine exactly how much air is coming in, so it knows how much fuel to inject. But when that sensor gets dusty or oily, the data becomes inaccurate. The result? Rough idle, hesitation, sluggish throttle, sometimes even worse gas mileage. The fix is simple, but only if you do it right. Use only a dedicated mass airflow sensor cleaner. Never use brake cleaner or carb cleaner. Those can permanently damage the sensor. Remove it, spray it gently, and let it air dry. No scrubbing, no touching. This takes about 30 seconds. And in many cases, it instantly restores smooth idle and sharper throttle response. Habit 2. Check your engine's lungs, the air filter. Your engine is nothing more than a powerful air pump. The easier it breathes, the better it performs. When the air filter gets clogged, the engine has to work harder just to pull in oxygen. That means slower acceleration, worse fuel economy, and unnecessary internal strain. Here's where most people mess up. They pull the filter out, see it's not that bad, and shove it back in. Instead, do this simple test. Hold the filter up to a bright light. If light passes through easily, you're fine. If it looks dark and blocks the light, replace it. This tiny check makes a real difference. A clean, free-flowing air filter improves throttle response, helps fuel economy, and can even shave time off acceleration. It's one of the cheapest upgrades you can make, and one of the easiest ways to help your engine breathe properly. Habit 3. Use fuel injector cleaners that actually work. Not all gasoline burns the same, and not all fuel additives do anything useful. Over time, fuel injectors build up carbon that ruins the spray pattern. Instead of a fine mist, fuel comes out uneven, and that hurts combustion, power, and fuel economy. Here's the detail most people miss. Only cleaners with PEA, polyethylamine, are strong enough to break down hardened carbon. Most cheap additives clean the fuel system around the injectors, not the injectors themselves. Once in a while, add a quality PEA-based cleaner to a full tank. Then drive normally. This helps restore proper injector spray, smoother acceleration, and cleaner combustion. So the engine makes the same power with less effort. Habit 4. The Italian tune-up, carbon blowout. Modern cars spend most of their lives doing the worst thing possible for engines. Short trips, low RPMs, stop-and-go traffic. Over time, that leads to carbon buildup on valves and internal components. And carbon quietly steals efficiency and smoothness. That's where the Italian tune-up comes in. Once the engine is fully warmed up, get onto an open highway. Then safely accelerate with intent. Let the engine rev higher than normal for a short period. The heat and airflow help burn off and blow out carbon deposits. Important reminder: do this safely, legally, and only when road conditions allow. When done correctly, this simple habit can noticeably improve throttle response and smoothness, especially for vehicles driven mostly in the city. Habit 5. Replace the PCV valve. This might be the most overlooked part on an engine, and it usually costs less than a meal. The PCV valve controls pressure inside the crankcase. When it works, it routes harmful gases back into the intake to be burned off. When it fails, problems stack up fast. Rough idle, oil leaks, increased oil consumption, and pressure that slowly damages seals and gaskets. Here's a quick check. Pull the valve out and shake it. If it rattles, it's likely okay. If it's silent, it's stuck, and it's done. Replacement takes minutes, and it immediately lowers internal pressure, improves idle quality, and keeps the engine cleaner long-term. Habit 6. Spark plug gaps and smart upgrades. Spark plugs don't need to look destroyed to be worn out. As miles add up, the gap between the electrodes slowly widens. That forces ignition coils to work harder just to fire the plug. The result? Weaker combustion, lower efficiency, extra stress on the ignition system. Start with a simple check. Measure the plug gap with a feeler gauge and compare it to factory specs. If the gap is too wide, performance is already dropping. And if your engine has over 80,000 miles, upgrading makes sense. Iridium spark plugs deliver a more consistent spark and last far longer. That means smoother acceleration, better fuel economy, and less strain on your coils. Habit 7. Keep battery terminals clean and tight. Most drivers don't realize this, but engines run on electricity just as much as fuel. If battery terminals are corroded or loose, electrical resistance increases. That forces the alternator to work harder just to maintain voltage. And that extra load isn't free. It's powered directly by the engine. Poor connections can reduce voltage to critical components like the fuel pump and injectors, leading to inconsistent fuel delivery and rough performance. The fix is simple. Clean corrosion with a baking soda and water mix. Then tighten the terminals properly. Clean, solid connections deliver stable voltage, helping the engine run smoother, more efficiently, and with less strain. Habit 8. Clean the throttle body. Inside the intake is a throttle plate that controls how much air the engine receives. And over time, it gets coated in grime. Oil vapors and blow-by gases leave behind a sticky black film. That buildup restricts airflow and prevents the throttle from moving smoothly. The symptoms are easy to feel. Delayed response, jerky takeoffs, an engine that feels lazy when you press the pedal. The fix is straightforward. Open the intake, use a proper throttle body cleaner, and wipe it down with a lint-free cloth. Focus on the throttle plate and the edges, where buildup is heaviest. Once it's clean, the throttle moves freely again and crisp, instant response usually comes back right away. Habit 9. Use full synthetic oil and quality filters. Not all oil changes deliver the same results. Cheap oils break down faster under heat and stress. Low-quality filters restrict flow and allow more contaminants to circulate. Full synthetic oil is different. It maintains its protective strength at high temperatures and high RPMs. That reduces internal friction between moving parts. And less friction means the engine doesn't have to work as hard to make power. Pair synthetic oil with a high-quality filter and you're protecting the engine while improving how it feels every time you drive. Smoother, quieter, and more responsive. Habit 10. Hunt down vacuum leaks. Your engine depends on vacuum to run smoothly, and it only takes one small leak to upset the balance. As rubber hoses age, they dry out, crack, or split. That lets unmetered air slip into the engine. The result is a lean condition, too much air, not enough fuel. Early symptoms are subtle. Rough idle, hesitation, light stumbling during gentle acceleration. Here's a simple check. With the engine running, listen closely. Vacuum leaks often sound like a faint hiss. Track it down and inspect the hoses. Sometimes replacing a cheap rubber line is enough to restore smooth operation and even shut off a check engine light. Small leak, big impact. Habit 11. Inspect and tighten engine ground straps. Modern engines don't just run on fuel and air. They run on information. Every sensor sends tiny electrical signals to the ECU, and those signals only stay accurate with solid grounding. Between the engine and the body are braided ground straps. Over time, they loosen, corrode, or build resistance. When that happens, electrical noise creeps in. Sensor readings get distorted. The ECU compensates poorly. The engine may idle rough or feel inconsistent. The fix is simple. Locate the ground straps connecting the engine to the chassis. Remove them and clean the contact points with a wire brush. Bare metal to bare metal is the goal. Once properly tightened, sensor signals stabilize, allowing the ECU to manage fuel and timing more precisely. The result is often a smoother idle and steadier throttle response. Habit 12. Refresh your coolant for thermal efficiency. Engines are engineered to operate within a very narrow temperature window. That's where power, efficiency, and longevity all peak. Over time, coolant breaks down. It loses its ability to transfer heat efficiently. The engine may never overheat, but can still run slightly hotter than ideal. Here's why that matters. When temperatures creep up, the ECU often protects the engine by reducing ignition timing. And the moment timing is pulled back, power drops. The fix is simple and often overlooked. Drain and refill the system with the manufacturer-recommended coolant. Fresh coolant restores proper heat transfer, stabilizes operating temperatures, and allows the engine to run more efficient timing. The result is smoother operation and power that feels consistent, especially under load. Habit 13. Check serpentine belt condition and tension. One belt transfers engine power to everything else. The alternator, power steering, air conditioning. If that belt isn't right, efficiency suffers. A belt that's too tight adds unnecessary drag to the crankshaft. A belt that's too loose slips, forcing accessories to work harder and less consistently. Both waste energy. Inspect the belt closely. Look for cracks, missing ribs, or a shiny glazed surface. That shine is a sign of slipping. Also watch the tensioner. If it's bouncing, vibrating, or chirping, energy is being lost. Replacing a worn belt or weak tensioner restores proper tension, allowing accessories to run smoothly with minimal resistance so the engine doesn't work harder than it needs to. Habit 14. Set tire pressure to reduce engine work. This sounds like a tire tip, but it directly affects engine performance. Underinflated tires increase rolling resistance. That forces the engine to burn more fuel just to keep the vehicle moving, especially at highway speeds. Nothing is broken. The engine is simply being overworked. Here's the correct approach. Open the driver's side door and check the pressure sticker. Set tire pressure to that number, not what's printed on the tire itself. Proper inflation reduces resistance, lowers engine load, and makes acceleration feel noticeably easier. It's a small adjustment with benefits every time you drive. Habit 15. Use the correct fuel octane. Fuel choice matters more than most drivers realize. Some people buy premium fuel thinking it's cleaner. Others use regular fuel in engines designed for higher octane. Both choices waste money or performance. If your engine requires higher octane and you use lower, the ECU protects the engine by pulling ignition timing. That prevents damage, but it also kills throttle response, power, and efficiency. On the other hand, using premium fuel in an engine designed for regular gives you zero benefit. You're just paying extra. The right move is simple. Check the owner's manual. Use exactly the octane rating the engine was designed for. Nothing more, nothing less. Habit 16. Clean intake valves on GDI engines. If your car was built in the last decade, there's a good chance it uses gasoline direct injection. GDI delivers strong power and efficiency, but it comes with a hidden trade-off. Older engines sprayed fuel onto the back of the intake valves, keeping them clean. GDI engines spray fuel directly into the cylinder. The valves never get washed. Over time, oily carbon builds up. Airflow becomes restricted. Power drops. In some cases, it can even lead to low-speed pre-ignition, LSPI, an expensive problem if ignored. The solution is targeted cleaning. Use a dedicated GDI intake valve cleaner and spray it into the intake while the engine is running. These formulas are designed to survive heat and dissolve hardened carbon. The difference is hard to miss. Air flows freely again, throttle response sharpens, and power that was being choked off by buildup comes back. Habit 17. The oxygen sensor, your engine's sense of smell. Most drivers don't think about oxygen sensors until the check engine light turns on. That's usually too late. O2 sensors live in extreme heat inside the exhaust. Their job is to measure leftover oxygen and tell the ECU how to fine-tune the air-fuel mix. Over time, these sensors don't just fail. They get slow. The data still looks normal, but it arrives late. The ECU ends up chasing outdated information, constantly slightly off on fuel delivery. Here's why that matters. A lazy oxygen sensor can reduce fuel economy by 10 to 15% without ever triggering a fault code. If your car has over 100,000 miles, replacing the upstream O2 sensor is like giving the engine a fresh sense of smell. It can finally read combustion accurately again. The payoff is immediate. Sharper part throttle response, smoother operation, and noticeably better highway MPG without touching anything inside the engine. You don't need a new car or expensive upgrades to make an engine feel new again. Just the right habits. From air and fuel to spark and sensors, every step you saw today helps your engine run smoother, stronger, and more efficiently. Now it's your turn. Which habit have you been skipping? Drop it in the comments. Take care of your engine, and it will take care of you.